the AI for Good Global Summit, convened by ITU, recognizes the joint responsibility of governments, the private sector, United Nations agencies, academia, and others to ensure AI reaches its full potential while preventing and mitigating harms.
And it's a moment that calls for action. And today I'm calling on each of you to use this summit to help the world to better understand what kinds of regulations, what kinds of guardrails we need to put in place right now. So together, let's make it innovative, let's make it safe, and let's make it responsible for all. Thank you very much.
Welcome to AI for Good, the leading action-oriented, global and inclusive United Nations platform on AI. Organized by ITU, in partnership with 40 UN sister organizations, and co-convened with Switzerland. The goal of AI for Good is to identify practical applications of AI to advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and scale those solutions for global impact. In today's session, we're counting on you to use the live video wall feature to ask questions and post comments to help create an engaging discussion. We encourage you to stay until the end to chat, connect, ask questions, and network with our distinguished panelists and world-class AI experts in the neural network. It is now time to kick off the session and welcome our first speaker. The floor is yours.
So thank you, Anna. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from me as well. I'm Guilherme Martinez-Roura from the International Telecommunication Union, and I would like to welcome you all for joining today's AI for Good Innovation Factory, Meet the Robotics for Good Startups Advancing Sustainable Development, organized by the ITU. The Innovation Factory is a program launched in 2020 under the flagship initiative AI for Good. It originally started as an platform for startups, and this year it has been upgraded as a more like an accelerating program. We help startups grow and scale their innovative AI solutions to achieve the SDGs by providing various business opportunities, mentorship services, matchmaking with potential investors and partners, and more. Today, I'm delighted to introduce the second Robotics for Good Innovation Factory event as part of a series of global startup pitching sessions to find the most promising solutions using AI and robotics to solve sustainable development challenges. The winner of today's session will be invited to pitch at the AI for Good Innovation Factory Grand Finale during the AI for Good Global Summit 2024, scheduled for 31st May this year in Geneva, with travel support from Cooka. And through the year, the winner will be supported to grow and scale up through the help of our judges, partners, startup accelerators, and incubators, so that we can trace how the Robotics for Good Innovation Factory startups grow and evolve and are making impact. Especially today's session is organized in partnership with Cooka, an AI for Good supporter, and AI for Good Global Summit 2024 sponsor, and Mass Robotics. Thanks to this partnership, we were able to meet very interesting robotics startups helping to advance the SDGs. And now, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our esteemed moderator today. His name is Matt O'Guth, and he is the partner at Venture Science and Iris Family Office. Matt, the floor is all yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt O'Guth with Venture Science here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Wishing everyone a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. I am responsible for our direct investments in companies in the Bay Area and around the world, tech centers. Certainly honored to be here as my second year here, part of the program. Well, today it's a pivotal pitch session organized by AI for Good, and it's an initiative proudly supported by the United Nations. And today marks not just a showcase of technological innovation, but a celebration of extraordinary efforts by companies dedicated to leveraging AI and robotics for a more inclusive, accessible, and sustainable future. Today, we have the privilege of showcasing companies at the edge of social innovation. And Ovoc Care is revolutionizing hand mobility with its cutting-edge orthosis, offering new independence to those with neurological orthopedic injuries. Bionics, a beacon of hope from Pakistan, provides advanced prosthetic limbs, including a robotic record-setting bionic arm for a young child, demonstrating the power of technology to reshape lives and accessibility. We have Valcom Technologies, and they bring us the critical world of non-destructive testing, enhancing safety and efficiency in industries that underpin our daily lives. And their commitment to sustainability and organizational excellence is paving the way for a safer and more reliable future. And Tatum Robotics, with their groundbreaking communication tool for the deaf-blind community, embodies spirit of innovation tailored to the needs of those it serves, ensuring that no one is left behind in our march towards technological advancement. As we move through today's presentations, let's reflect on the transformative potential of these innovations. While direct engagement from our general audience may not be a part of today's program, your presence, interest, and support play a crucial role in driving towards the mission for AI for good. Each company here today is not just presenting technology, they're sharing a vision of a world transformed for better through dedication, creativity, and the relentless pursuit of social impact. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in this journey of discovery and inspiration as we explore together the ways in which technology can lead to a brighter, more inclusive future for all. With that, I'd like to turn it to our group of judges, each one of them to take a few minutes to introduce themselves before we start the pitching session. So with that, I'll leave the floor to Betsy first. Betsy.
Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. My name is Betsy Muley. I'm an early stage investor at F-Prime Capital. We're an early stage VC that has been around for over 50 years, based here in the Boston area, but also with offices throughout the world. Across our platform, we focus on healthcare and technology. I sit on our early stage technology fund, where we focus on enterprise tech, fintech, and robotics. We're particularly focused in robotics that go after a specific vertical and are solving real problems for real people. So really excited to hear the pitches today. Thanks.
All right, and with that, let me give it to Cyril.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am calling in from Singapore. My name is Cyril Ebersweiler. I'm a general partner at a firm called SOSV. I'm as well the founder and managing director of Hacks. We've been investing in hardware and biotech for more than a decade. Just about my case, I've been investing in more than 200 hardware companies. And so today I'm quite interested and happy to be here, because one of the reasons why I created Hacks at the very beginning of 2012 was to get more innovation to market, essentially, and see the power of having atoms exist in this world. And so I'm thrilled to see that 12 years later, we have more and more innovation and more hardware companies, and everything is also now augmented with artificial intelligence. So it's very exciting times, and I'm very excited and happy to be here today.
Thank you, Cyril. Up next is Ryan.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. Ryan Wang with Outpost Capital. So we've been focused on early stage investment in different frontier technologies for over a decade. And in particular, we've been investing a lot in companies in the XR and spatial computing, artificial intelligence, blockchain, Web3, and the robotic space. So very much glad to be here, and look forward to hearing more from the startups today.
Thank you, Ryan. Up next is Andreas.
Hello, all together. I'm Andreas from Augsburg, and Augsburg is the headquarters of Cooka, and I'm working for Cooka in a new business unit. It's founded around 12 years ago. It's about medical and healthcare robotics. While Cooka is known to be a manufacturer, is one of the biggest manufacturer of robotics. Specifically, our biggest business is in industrial automation, car assembling, and something like that. But since over 20 years, we have customers in the medical field, and I'm doing business development management, especially in this field. And for this reason, I'm more than excited to have startup companies pitching here who are in this field. And AI is kind of something which is also very interesting for industrial automation. We know machine learning from the vision technology since decades, but now I'm very excited to see that AI enables robotics to come more and more into the private areas and leaving the factories and going out of the factories and reaching out to the patients and to people to support them.
Thank you, Andreas. I'm sure, as everyone, we all enjoy watching the Cooka robotic arms in the manufacturing facility, especially when they're making cars. Next up is Tom.
Hello, my name is Tom Ryden. I'm the Executive Director of Mass Robotics. Mass Robotics is an independent nonprofit that supports the robotics industry. And we also run an innovation center in downtown Boston where we house over 85 startups. I'm very excited to be here today. I love this effort that AI for Good is doing to highlight some of the really innovative companies in this space. And I am pleased to be on the judging panelists this morning.
Thank you, Tom. So without further ado, let's start with our first presenter, Ovoc Care. Ovoc Care, you have 5 minutes and then 10 minutes for Q&A.
Cool. Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. My name is Luca. I'm very happy to be here today to present you Ovoc Care. What we're doing is targeting hand impairments. Specifically, we know that in the US alone, there is one person who has a stroke and lives with hand impairments every minute. And the number of stroke cases is expected to drastically increase over the next years, with an expected growth of more than 27% by 2050. For these users, we are developing a robotic orthosis that can open and close the hand. Our core technology in the first product is being certified for use at clinics as a tool to support therapists and healthcare professionals and at home to allow users to keep practicing therapy and in the future to assist their daily living. The core technology behind our product is our soft exoskeletal fingers. These are silicone-like structures that can open and close the hand. They can be easily adapted to different finger morphologies and hands and attached to both left and right hands and on existing splints for the sake of supporting, for example, the thumb or the wrist or different kind of mobility impairments. The exoskeleton has been designed to be worn easily with just one hand. This is typically indeed a very recurrent condition for our users, stroke. They are hemiparetic, meaning that half of their body is still working, so they could use it to use the device independently. So the device is worn by putting the splint first and then attaching our device, sliding the fingers in. I'm rushing for this, but I'll be happy to show you more later. And once the device is attached, it can open and close the hand. Then at the end of the session, once the user has finished his therapy or has used the device in his daily living, he can simply slide off the rings, detach the exoskeleton from the splint, and easily wash both the exoskeleton and the splint, because this can be sanitized with normal wiping and washing for the brace. Through the last years, we've been conducting quite some studies, and we have found very good feedback from both patients and healthcare professionals. But I'll let you listen with your own ears to what our patients say of our device.
The first test with the prototype passive movements had an immediate effect on my index finger within 24 hours. I could move it for the first time after 6 years.
J'ai eu 2 rendez-vous et j'ai pu constater une évolution entre 2 séances.
Je sentais qu'effectivement, il se passait quelque chose. Je pense que ça serait très utile pour moi pour pouvoir redonner de l'information au cerveau et pouvoir reconstruire des circuits neuronaux qui ont du mal à s'activer.
Excellent, ça marche trop bien. Génial. Mais c'est cool. Là, je peux la tenir vraiment toute droite. Et je pense même que je pourrais me servir un verre comme ça, tu vois. Cool. Ah, c'est impressionnant, là, ouais.
So this was the feedback from some of our users. In our team, we mostly come from engineering. I had the chance to work as an engineer at NASA. My co-founder has been working in robotic startups, and we are advised by very good advisors with former experience in medical devices, medical doctors, and world-renowned researchers. What does the future hold for us? We envision by merging data and AI to create a digital health solution that can help both for therapy and assistance. Specifically, we are developing an application that can provide insights and track how the users progress throughout their therapy, for example, by measuring their range of motion and the force that they are doing at their fingertips. Furthermore, we are already using AI and machine learning in order to create a seamless human-machine interface. And here I'm showing a recent demo that we developed where we decode the muscular signals that travel through the forearm in order to control the exoskeleton seamlessly in activities of daily living and in therapy. In general, we are aiming at building a platform that can both treat with the exoskeleton, but also measure, provide insights on how the patients are doing. And with this, we would like to establish a new paradigm that allows to do therapy both at clinics, but also while living, to increase the use and therefore increase the outcome of these therapies. Last but not least, the videos of which I'm mostly proud of. This is my sister, she's Chiara. She was born with a motor impairment, and she's the reason why I started all these developments. And this is what motivates us to bring this device at home in situations where really these users care and where we could have the biggest impact for these technologies, robotics and AI. With this, I would like to finish, and I'm open for questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much for Luca. Certainly very, very impressive. So I'd like to open it to judges. If anybody has a question.
Sure, I'll start. Luca, great job. Love it. Is this just for therapeutic use, or are you anticipating that someone could use this in daily living? They could have this device in their home.
Indeed, we're starting with therapy because we see a big potential there, and we already see that there are reimbursement codes in that field. And in the long term, we are also developing the device to potentially support in assisted daily living, but starting with therapy and later going to assistive daily use.
Okay, and is it pneumatic? Is that what do you have a little pressure pump on the side? Is that how it was controlled?
No, that's electrical technology. So we have an electrical motor. Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
Appreciate it, thanks.
Just on that, actually, can you explain a bit? Like, you are using the Myo sensor, right? Or that is what used to be North and now Control Labs. Is that correct? And so, what's the relationship essentially between all the system and sort of the target cost that you are looking for?
So in the very first product, indeed, we are controlling the device just with push buttons on the enclosure. And this would allow the therapist to keep pressing and be always in control. And same thing, this could be done by the patient himself while the therapist support, for example, the arm. So that's the very first product. We just have very simple controls. Then in the future, we would like to integrate EMG sensors for the sake of this seamless human-machine interface. In the video that I'm showing, I used in the Myo sensor that is now actually not sold any longer, but we could do that with other off-the-shelf electromyographic sensors. So we're not going to develop our own sensors, but we're just going to get off-the-shelf sensors that exist already in the market already, also medical grade. For the pricing for home use, we're still not there, so we don't know. We really hope that this could be paid with out-of-pocket money because we really hope to democratize this technology, but we're not there yet. So we're starting with a device that is sold to clinics, reimbursed with existing codes for the sake of hitting the market, generating clinical data. And once we go home, we'll try and figure out a business model that is more aligned with the out-of-pocket payments directly by patients.
Sure. Thank you.
I'm not sure if this answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it makes perfect sense to go to the clinics first and kind of start with that B2B motion. For the B2C motion, how are you thinking about both the marketing on the one side as far as reaching the patients, but then also building trust for them to start using the product?
So that's a very important question. So to cover the second part of your question, building trust. So one of the main reasons why we're starting at clinics is indeed because this, we hope, is going to help us building this trust, because what we're saying by interacting a lot with these patients is that there's this man in the middle, that is the medical doctor, that eventually prescribes the therapy, the device. So we would really like to show these users, they are our users today, that our device works, can get their patients better, and then they could start sending it to their patients at home to follow up with the therapy. So that's also the way we envision to deploy the system, and then how it's going to work the marketing. As of now, we have a lot of people who reach to us, like patients, but that's very early stage. So in the future, we really hope that we could target those either through their healthcare professionals or via direct marketing, and like social media would be a very great marketing channel for this. And in this case, we see that most of the times these people, it's their relatives that reach out to us. Like my father had a stroke, my husband had a stroke, my child has a cerebral palsy. So we are really targeting people that are more or less in their 50s because of their relatives might have had some of these neurological impairments.
Thank you.
Sure.
Maybe I also have a question. And this is about the material. How long is it lasting when you are putting load on it? How long can the user use it until it breaks? This is the first question. And another question is, how far are you with going through the regulatories and conform medical standards in the EU or other countries?
Cool. So regarding the first part of the question, durability, we are now in the phase of heavily testing. We've frozen the design and we are heavily testing it for durability testing. On the side of motors, these are off-the-shelf components. We have the certificates. We know they can last for more than 2 years. Our target usage is 2 years. We imagine deploying the systems to clinics and at homes to have them used for 2 years for 2 hours a day. That's our target. So now we are indeed looking at proving that our device can do it. The most critical component is our soft proprietary component. So we are undergoing heavy testing for it. As of now, we show the thousands of hours of use as well at our clinical partners. So that's working fine, mostly because fatigue testing for these soft materials are very resistant to fatigue. Second part of your question, medical regulations. We are indeed in Europe, so we are starting here. So we are certifying our device under EU MDR. We set up already an ISO 13485 compliant quality management system. We were certified till end of last year. Now we are changing offices, so we will have to do the certification again, but we know how to do it. And then now we are in the final phase of the CE marking, where we have to do the last 3 tests for safety testing. So we passed all the electromagnetic compatibility and safety tests except 3. So we are doing some minor redesigns, ship hopefully by the end of this month the devices, and then by Q2 this year we hope to issue the first CE marking.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks.
What's your sales cycle look like when you are talking to the clinics, and are there any challenges for them for you guys to close a deal? What's some of the most common challenges in the process?
So as of now, we've been going direct. So we've been reaching out to all of our clinics and demoing the device. Typically, then they have an internal discussion. We try and target initially smaller clinics, like say up to 20 employees, because the decision making there is reasonably easy. So there are not so many layers. So after the first demo, then they have an internal discussion. They typically involve the higher person. We do another demo, and then after that, we hope we could close the deal. So typically, it's 3 visits. I had something else in my head. Challenges. Yes, sometimes these are more our pioneers users. We see that some of other users typically do not want to use the device if we don't have clinical data on the therapeutic benefits, or what has been the biggest challenge? Yeah, mostly this, yes, and reimbursements, being sure that the insurances can already reimburse today. So we consider those late adopters. So our early stage adopters, we already have some clinics that are willing to buy this device with their existing budget, test it on their patients, and test themselves the existing reimbursement code. So we hope to generate some traction for these users and then deploy it later. So yeah, that's the answer to your question. Sorry for going a little bit everywhere.
Well, thank you so much, Luca. Certainly exciting. Wish you the best in all of these endeavors, and hopefully bring that to market. Very grateful for you to be working on something as amazing as this.
Cool. Thanks everyone for the questions. Nice being here.
And next up, we have Bionics. Bionics, you have the floor.
Thank you so much for having me here. So I'll just start the presentation. Yeah. If everybody can see it, right?
Yes, please go.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Anas Niaz. I am a CEO and co-founder of Bionics, and our story started back in 2016 when we just received a random email from a family when I was doing a robotics engineer, that when you are a robotics engineer, can you make a prosthetic arm for my little boy? He was actually born without a limb. So when I first met him, he showed me his little stump, and he asked me that, can you make a Iron Man hand for me? So I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. So that's how we started as a social enterprise. And right now, we are working on AI technology to improve the functionality of our prosthetics. So anyone from any kind of age or from any location can use our prosthetic. So the challenges that the industry is currently facing is there are around 5.7 million amputees around the world. And unfortunately, 40 million out of them do not have access to these prosthetics. Then there are conventional bionic arms that are very heavy, very expensive, and very difficult to operate. That's why a lot of people don't use it frequently. Then we have 3D printed prosthetics. Those prosthetics looks amazing, but they are not durable enough to work in certain conditions and certain countries. Then the other challenge is the fitting process of any prosthetic is quite challenging, because you have to travel all the way to the special clinics, and then you will able to get the prosthetic arm or a leg, which takes a lot of time and cost. So this is the global market that we have seen for upper limb. There are around 4.5 billion US dollar market. And this is how we are planning to grow our startup. So right now, if you can see that almost 80% people do not have access to the prosthetic because they don't have the specialized clinics available around them. So they have to travel all the way to different countries to get their prosthetics done. We are a CE certified and ISO certified company. We have our product certified. And if I can show you the progress that we have made since 2022, although we had the devaluation of our currency, 67%, still we are going in a good direction. So what we have done is we have partnered with HP, and we are using their 3D printing sockets, MGF 3D printed sockets. So all the person have to do is to send their 3D scan data through any app. And once we receive that data, we can send their customized prosthetic at their doorstep. And all they have to do is just to wear the prosthetic, and they can connect it with our Bionic app, and will calibrate it according to our sensors. So the best part of our prosthetic is it's very cost effective. We are the only one in the world who are making sweat-proof and waterproof sensors for the bionic arm so that it can be used in any kind of climates. We don't require any kind of surgery for those who lost their limbs from shoulders. And then we don't waste anything. It's all made with the additive technology, sockets, carbon fiber, and aircraft aluminum. So we don't waste anything. Then it's 100% customizable. For example, if kids want it in a different superhero theme, so we can also customize their prosthetic. Up till now, we have given around 650 prosthetic arms, not only in Pakistan, but also other regions of the world. And they are all connected with us. And every 7 days, they have to connect their bionic arm to our app so that we can improve the algorithm of the software through our machine learning so that they can use it effectively. So the existing process of getting any prosthetic or bionic arm is that you have to visit the clinic. Then you'll have the socket castings. Then they will make the socket for you. You have to go again. Then they will test your socket, test the sensors, and then finally they will give you the prosthetic. It takes around 10 to 15 days to get a prosthetic arm, and then you have to go again and again to the clinics, which takes a lot of time and effort. So with us, you just need to send us a 3D scan, and we can ship you your prosthetic arm in just 10 days. And all you have to do is to wear your prosthetic and connect this prosthetic with our Bionic arm app, and it will be functional like any other arm. So these are our USPs. Like, we are the only one who are making prosthetic for kids who lost their limbs from shoulder. As you can see, Umar lost his prosthetic. Umar lost his arm due to traumatic injury, and he can use his bionic arm to go to school, write down things, and pretty much do almost everything. So this is what makes us motivated all the time. As you can see, Sanaullah lost his both arm due to electrocution, and we don't require any kind of surgery for people who got electrocuted. And because of our sensors, they are able to use our prosthetic. The most difficult case that we have ever encountered is Seher Iqbal. She lost her both arms from shoulder. And if she need a bionic arm in any part of the world, she has to go through the surgery, which only takes around 20,000 euros for the surgery, and the arm costs around $200,000. So for us, we don't require any kind of surgery because we use machine learning. And as you can see, she can ride, she can wear her favorite clothes, and she's pretty much doing great now. So we are the only one who are providing bionic arms to kids under 8 years. So this is our world record as well. If you Google it, the youngest bionic kid in the world, you will find us there as well. So this is the competition that we have globally. As you can see, there are cosmetic hands available. Then there are mechanical arm available from the World War II. Then we have myoelectric arms. Then we have our bionic arms, and then multi-grip bionic arms. So as you can see that our prosthetic arms increase your functionality around 70%. And people are doing almost everything with our prosthetic arms. They're riding bikes, they're writing, they're drawing paintings and everything. And the best part is our prosthetic weight is lesser than all the competitors available in the market, and the price is also different. So as we are a social enterprise, so what we do, we offer different prices in developing countries so that people can afford the price. And the countries where people are covered by insurance, so we get the price in a different model. So
thank you, Anas. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So
yeah,
let's turn this over to our judges for some Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Anaz. I can get us started. And actually, my questions were along the lines that you were going down. So I think that sliding pay scale makes a lot of sense. Could you talk a little bit about how you're keeping BOM costs low?
Yeah, so basically what we did was we introduced a different manufacturing process. So for example, we use German motors. That's the most expensive component in our product. And apart from that, we have our own sensors, which allow us to reduce a lot of cost. And then because we are not using any conventional method, so we don't require a lot of raw material to waste. So it's pretty much, for example, it's customizable. So we only use that material that we actually require to manufacture the prosthetic.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can you talk me through a little bit of the process? You do a 3D scan of the I guess the stub, as you called it, but the remaining part, and then you print that is customizable just for what you've seen. How does that change over time, especially with children as they grow? Do you have to then come back and re-customize the device, or can you talk to me a little bit about that?
So that's an excellent question. So what happens is, like if I talk about kids, so every kid has to change their just socket after 2 or 3 years, and rest of the palm remains the same. So you don't have to change the whole socket, and it's the same thing with all the prosthetic available in the world. And the best part about our prosthetic is, like most of the time with other bionic arms, the sensor calibration has to do the manual part. Like there are some switches that you have to go to the clinic and do the calibration part. For us, you can do the calibration online. So you just have to come make a socket after 3 years, not every 6 months. Yeah.
Great. And what are the sensors that you have in the arm, and then how are those controlled?
So what we do is we put our sensors inside the socket. These are our own sensors, IP sensors. And we used myoelectric sensors and tactile sensors integration so that we can have different kind of data set, which allow us to use our sensors in almost every kind of climate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you share a little bit about your current traction, as well as when you are implementing to the users, right? Do you sell them directly to the consumer, or do you mostly work with hospitals, clinics? And also, I think something related to the previous page is that they mentioned a lot of their cases they need to work with insurance as well, right? In your case, is insurance part of the picture as well?
So unfortunately, if I talk about Pakistan, we don't have a lot of good infrastructure in terms of insurance. So insurance do not cover any kind of prosthetic, but the government do provide prosthetics. So we have partnered with government of Pakistan. So they buy almost 200 bionic arms every year, and the number is increasing day by day because we have almost around 300,000 people lost without limbs. So yeah. So it's both ways. So customer can directly buy from us, and the government also buy us and provide it from their clinics.
Cool. I have also a question. I see that one of your greatest challenges is the price.
Yeah.
Just because of that. And your prosthetics do perform quite well, if I understand it right. So you seem to be competitive to prosthetics in the rest of the world. And the question I have is about the scalability of your production. So you use 3D printing, but you also say carbon fiber, which is expensive, and also aircraft aluminum. And how does it look like in terms of the production and scaling the production?
Okay. So the best part is, like, currently we are able to produce 500 bionic arms in the month. So this is our production capacity. And because we use 3D printers just to make the testing of sockets, not the whole prosthetic. And right now, what we are doing with carbon fiber is just to reinforce it. But in future, we are partnering with HP because they have good 3D printers, MJF 3D printers, which sustain a lot of tensile strength and everything. So we will provide our palms to clinics, and all they have to receive is just a socket once they have the patient there.
And do you have a kind of a tool chain, an enabled tool chain you make use of when a new patient shows up, that you can put the person into the investigation, scanning, design phase, production phase, and all that?
Yeah, so currently what we do is whenever we receive a design, 3D design, right now our team designed the socket, but in future we are predicting that through our AI integration, we will auto-design the sockets. So yeah, so you don't have to design the socket manually because it takes around half or 1 hour to design it. And we are simplifying it, but it's for the longer, we are working on it. The R&D is going on.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anas. Again, very grateful to you for working on this technology.
Thank you.
So next up, we have Tatum.
Hi, everybody. You guys can see that all right? All right.
Yes.
My name is Samantha Johnson, and I founded Tatum Robotics after spending years volunteering in the deafblind community. As an estimate, there are approximately 150 million people worldwide who cannot access technology, entertainment, healthcare, education, and more because they are deafblind. They cannot hear nor see. And the primary language of those with deafblindness is a tactile sign language. In tactile sign language, as you can see in this photo here, the person with deafblindness places their hands over their communication partner's hands while they sign. And in this way, the deafblind person is able to feel the sign language and understand that message being relayed. However, because of this interaction, those with severe deafblindness currently have no means of communicating independently. If there is not a signer sitting directly next to them, they are unable to communicate. Without access to community or news in good times, or especially in times of pandemic, deafblind folks experience an increased incidence of anxiety and depression linked to isolation and loneliness. Currently, deafblind communication options are concentrated in human interpreters and Braille tablets. However, only about 10% of deafblind people know Braille. And for example, the Perkins School for the Blind actually doesn't even teach their deafblind students Braille due to the level of cognitive disability that the deafblind children have. And additionally, human interpreters are very expensive and can take up to 3 months to secure their services. So we are aiming to supplement the work of interpreters by providing the benefits of a Braille tablet, but in an accessible means. Our solution is a customizable collaborative robotic armature system that will serve as the first communication tool for the deafblind community. Leveraging advancements in low-cost manufacturing and cloud computing, the device will translate written or spoken text into tactile sign that deafblind person user can use to access the abled world's resources independently. The T1 system will also have several functionalities. So the device can sign based on live text or voice input. So you could talk into it, type into it using our messaging platform. Secondly, the device can sign based on pulled data from communication mediums, whether that be emails, websites, ebooks. And then last, our functionality that we're working on now is connecting to remote real-time signing, similar to a phone call relay that deaf folks use, for example. And this system is a novel hardware that we designed here that is meant to be exceedingly anthropomorphic in size, shape, and feel, and make sure that it can do all levels of complex signing with attaching an arm as well. All actuators are selected to ensure compliant interactions while making sure that it still can safely achieve these trajectories with that contact pressure from a deafblind user on top. However, this is not only hardware, we also make use of custom software as well. Using machine learning, we've created a first-of-its-kind translation tool from English to ASL called Tatum Translate. And this product is incorporated into these 2 hardware offerings I was mentioning, the T1 finger spelling hand, which is that 18-degree of freedom hand, and the T1 signing system, which allows for more complex signing. To support our project goals, we have formed many development partnerships within the deafblind community, as well as across the country in the robotics sector. And not only do we have partnerships in the US, we also have collaborations with deafblind organizations in Canada, India, New Zealand, Rome, as we try to make this available to deafblind folks worldwide, especially in those areas of lower resources. For example, in India, there's currently 1 interpreter for a population the size of Texas and California combined, which is impossible to give fair language access to their millions of deafblind people. In our team, we maintain deep domain expertise in hardware design, software infrastructure, and business strategy, and we include both hearing and deafblind people passionate about advancing accessibility. Additionally, we leverage a board of business and engineering advisors, ensuring the quality of our technology and growth strategy. We will start with at-home use case because those are the people who are most isolated from communication in their community. And because we can make use of the federal ICANN Connect program here in the US, that will ensure all American deafblind individuals can access our device for no cost. The founder of this ICANN Connect program, Jerry Barrier, is currently on our board. We will then aim to make this device a greater ADA device, making education, hospitals, hotels, movie theaters, and more accessible for the deafblind for the first time. Our growth strategy has milestones that cross all of these use cases. Starting this afternoon, actually, our training for beta pilots will begin, and we'll get these first devices into the homes of deafblind folks here in Boston, Massachusetts. As we move towards ICC certification, that will then allow us to have a product launch going forward this year. And so far, our device has been tested with over 50 deafblind users, and we've seen almost perfect recognition rates. More importantly, we have seen hugs, smiles, tears of excitement from deafblind users, and we've heard stories from deafblind folks who have dreamed of reading and learning and communicating with their families, and they see the possibility of this revolution with our technology. Just want to thank you for your time learning about Tatum Robotics, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. So with that, any questions?
Hi, Samantha. This is super wild and very cool. Just curious about, there are lots of buttons on the device. Like, what are they for?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's essentially the remote control. So that is the user interface that we've developed. And we actually have probably 10 user interfaces here that every deafblind person, they have different needs. And a part of the technology that we're developing is that it can be as customizable as possible. So it being cloud-based, a lot of our software is, so they can choose their language preferences, their grammar patterns, their signing speeds. And then we also have these different button interfaces will allow them to, pick which app they want. Are they looking for weather? Are they looking for stories? Are they in their messenger? Allow them to toggle through content, rewind, fast forward. And we're also developing gesture recognition as well as a keyboard attachment to allow them to respond back to messaging that way.
And so when they are responding back, how does it work?
Yeah, so they have a couple options. So first, there are stored replies on the system. So there's buttons there that, yes, no, I'm busy, simple stored replies. There's keyboard attachment if they are capable of, if they're fluent in typing. And then the last thing is gesture recognition. So if I were signing with a deafblind person, they would be holding on to me, but when they were signed back to me, they just signed like, hi, my name, Jamie, or whatever. So we are developing very basic gesture recognition so they can use that functionality as well.
Thank you.
Samantha, I have a question for you. What is the path to, I guess, bringing this to the homes of the deafblind? Is it through commercialization? Is it through reimbursement? Would this be for free? If you could tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, so it's similar to sort of B2G. So essentially this ICANN Connect program, the way that it works is there's a chapter in every state and they're affiliated with the deafblind folks in that state. So a deafblind person would reach out or a family member or caregiver and say, I need assistive technology, I need support. And ICANN Connect rep would then go to their house, evaluate their language needs, what they're familiar with, and then essentially purchase the technology for them, provide up to 100 hours of free training and do the maintenance for it for 3 years. So they would be the ones purchasing it from us, this ICANN Connect program, but there'd be no cost to deafblind people specifically in the US. And what we're working on understanding right now is in these other countries that we're working with, understanding what those pathways would be and how we can support that.
And how are
So
you
how
thinking about
far
pricing?
along are you? Sorry, how far are you from bringing this to reality?
Yeah, so these betas that we're starting this afternoon, one of the requirements for that ICANN Connect program is we have to show an increased access to communication. So essentially, this system being cloud-based, I can see what content they're accessing, how frequently they're doing it, and then I can submit a report after a 6-week beta that shows that this is how much more communication they accessed from before, whatever. And then from that point, we can then offer that in their catalog and it can be launched from there. So what we're working on now is obviously these betas are long going, but similar to some of the other companies here, working on that durability testing, make sure that the lifetime is there that we need and making sure that it's easy to repair if needed. So as kind of the timeline suggests that we should be able to get at least these initial launch quantities out in Q3 of this year, assuming that certification through ICC is, efficient.
I also have a question. For me, this communication of deafblind people I wasn't aware of it for a long time. And when I heard about that you are taking part here in this competition, last week I was very interested in this topic. And my question is there a standard? I found out there was a glove, a blind deaf glove, which can trigger points at the fingers, so have a kind of finger alphabet. Is this what you are doing related to that, or is it a standard which you are now continuing in development? And the question is, if you have a glove or a hand which can move itself and can be moved and can feel the touch, that you can use it as a teacher. Because I think teachers, you have a big lack of teachers who are able to learn this language.
Yeah, so a few things in there. So essentially, this is not a glove. So a lot of the
Oh, no,
technology you'll
but
see
I saw a
surrounding, yeah,
glove. Sorry, I saw
yeah,
a
a
glove.
lot of the things you'll see around signing gloves are actually quite controversial in this space. And the idea of this is not to sort of ask the deafblind folks to wear a wearable, and that won't allow them to have that communication two ways. And I think the communication method you're talking about is like this sort of path. I think actually it's only used in Germany, which is interesting. But essentially, tactile signing is kind of the standard for those folks with severe deaf blindness. So essentially, that hand-over-hand tactile signing. And the goal of this technology is also, as I mentioned, there's a tactile sign. There's about 300 different tactile sign languages across the world.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that's why we need to have all these development partnerships to make sure that we get those language access. But essentially, we've developed the hardware so that it can, there's 18 degrees of freedom. It can make the hand shapes that human hands can make. And now we're working on developing or customizing our language algorithms to allow for that language translation.
Very interesting. It would be
Yeah,
cool to have a global standard.
Yeah, that would be helpful. But absolutely, a lot of our goal too is just spreading the awareness of deaf blindness. There are millions of people. This is how they communicate. This is how they live, and really kind of spreading that word as well.
Cool. So what are some of the limitations through this system? What kind of interactions can you not enable as of today?
Yeah, and this is absolutely not an interpreter. And I think that is the main limitation and something that we try to make very clear as well. If you're in a medical appointment, you don't want the robot there to facilitate that communication, because as much as we can customize the language, ASL and English are two different languages. So ensuring that equal language access in something like a medical appointment is not something that we are using this as an indication for. In a medical setting, we say this can be in the lobby when you arrive. This can help facilitate those early interactions. This could be in the room of, I need water, or those basic conversations, but is not an interpreter. So that is that main limiting factor, because again, it isn't a person. It can't ensure that communication is clear and concise in the best, most efficient way, especially in those times of medical emergency. But we are working with programs, like we had meetings with DHS of how this could be used for emergency alerts. We are working with Perkins School, Gallaudet, a lot of education platforms, to see how this can support the teachers in the room who can provide that greater language access, and this can provide that one-on-one instruction going forward.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Sam, just a little bit more on the market size. You mentioned millions. How many deafblind people are there, and how many can use your technology? Are all of them able to use your technology?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they say about 0.2% of the population has severe deaf blindness. Something you need to take into account when looking at that number is those also include, elderly people, folks who are just 90 and therefore can't hear or see. So essentially the target market that we have in the US, we assume between 1 and 2 million. And that is because, and it's unfortunate, as Andreas had mentioned, it's not well documented how many deafblind people there are, where they are. We're working with the Helen Keller National Center, who has a registry of all deafblind children, and deafblind adults go through that program. And they say they have about 50,000 deafblind people go through their program every year. So that's really one of our main stakeholders that we're going to be working with to start to understand these markets. And we're hoping to also kind of be on the forefront of kind of how better to define it. But right now we're working, the World Federation of the Deafblind is kind of where we get our numbers from. They have done a lot of these heavy kind of analyses on it, but a lot of the market that we still don't understand is, how many of these with severe deaf blindness, when did they become deafblind? How can we customize it for their needs that way? So that is a lot of work that we're still doing. Thank you.
And could you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about pricing? I know you mentioned no cost to the end user for these groups.
Sometime, go ahead.
What was that, Matt?
You do have some time to take one more question.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so that ICANN Connect program, essentially it needs to be priced at $6,000 or under to be fully covered through that program. So this finger spelling hand that you saw the video of, that is kind of the target max that this can be priced at. What's beneficial from there, as we develop out that signing system, we can then use ourselves as the predecessor and we can make the pricing increase from there. The problem is because there's absolutely nothing in the space right now, the only thing we can almost use as a comparable product is a Braille tablet. So that's why that pricing is capped at 6, because we can only kind of compare ourselves to that. But we can increase the price going forward through that program using ourselves as that predecessor, growing from there. But we are using all, off-the-shelf servos, making sure that this can be low cost. We do make use of a lot of 3D printing, low-cost manufacturing, a lot of cloud computing, making sure we don't need to have these heavy processors on the board. There's a very thin client on the robot itself, allowing it to be very lightweight and allowing it to grow as the technology advances. So this is something that we're trying to make sure is low cost to fit into these programs, but also understanding that in other countries, the cost varies, what that max cost really is. So that's also, again, these partnerships will help us understand that and help us figure out how we can move into those markets.
Well, thank you so much, Samantha. Again, everyone, I'm sure that the world is very grateful to you as well for working on something like this. So last but not the least, we have Valcom. Valcom, you have the floor.
All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Kim Hayes. I am the founder of, can you see my screen? Okay. I'm assuming so.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Fantastic. I'm the founder and CEO of Valcom Technologies. I would love to share with you guys today our robot for confined space, and our core value is based on keeping humans and assets safe on Earth and in space. We're even reaching farther than our current domain. The problem that we're really targeting is human and asset risk. And it is the human workspace in confined space. The human fatality in these areas are actually on the increase, which is not good, in that robots are underutilized for the dull, dangerous and dirty environments. And there's an insufficient amount of certified robots. And this is a global issue and a global opportunity. 2.1 million workers enter confined spaces annually. 2 people die a week, and 60% of those are would-be rescuers. There's really no reason why humans should be getting into those environments as technology goes. Our first charter was from an oil and gas major to try to focus on confined space on floating roofs of storage tanks. Current condition is the system's taken out of service, or a human actually enters these confined areas, which you can see here is 3 by 5 by 10 with an 18-inch manway. And there are like 20 or 30 of these spaces around each one of the floating roofs. And they wanted a non-electric robot. And ironically, it was funny. I went to the garage, grabbed a Coca-Cola crate and pneumatic drills and lawnmower wheels, and teed it up to a pancake pump is how it started. And we actually Friday went for our certification, the physical assessment of our certification for IECEX and ATEX Zone 0. Zone 0 is that there are explosives present, and Zone 1 is it may be. But we're one of the only inspection robots, Zone 0, to date. It's non-electric, pneumatic, completely mechanical, portable, fits within a small form factor. The intent of this one was specifically for that use case, but the technology is translatable. Our patent on the logic can be wheeled, tracked, whatever. And we're already started our Gen 2 for magnetic tracks and immersion. And our AI utilization is kind of unique in that we are a non-electric platform. We have a sacrificial plate on the front where we actually partner with various technologies. And our AI efforts are to do data fusion and to try to take all of these 360 view from various camera to thermography. And then also we can actually allow for VR type use to additionally keep the humans safe. We're working even in high radiation atmospheres, and looking at the Mars deployment with the technology. We've got an NSF for that. The key pillars that we want to press for the advancement in this modality is that we have standardized vocabulary, standardized validation frameworks, and there are already some protocols and standards on that. But we need to be forced from the top down, and then curated data sets, and then standardized data formats. The market potential is 94 million in just North America. Looking at the robotics, our key targets right now are the energy sector, but we did get an Air Force Space Force grant, and we're entering into phase 2. We also are putting in for NSF to, as I was mentioning, beyond Mars. The markets are endless. You got ship, you got many confined space, disaster, nuclear, grain silos. So we've been around since 2020 and formally full-time in 2021. We've got 3 patents, and we've actually got the international filed patents. And we like working with the asset owner directly to really focus on the problem, not the product. And then actually the profit follows. So our ask of you is market access. What other problems can we solve? Our idea or hope is that this will be like a Swiss Army knife in its utility facet, to where every facility could have one of these that has these dangerous environments. And we need more certified sensor payloads. The funding would help us become more efficient in fabrication. We look forward to mentorship and capabilities. Here's our next robot, which is magnetic crawler. And we will be launching that. This is our organization. We're all about, it takes a village and collaboration. And we look forward to expanding that scope. Here's my information, and I thank you for the opportunity and look forward to questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
So Kim, just a question. So your key differentiator is you're pneumatically controlled, so you're intrinsically safe.
Yes,
is that
sir.
correct?
Exactly.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you get rid of that third leg, right, of the explosive triangle.
Okay. But you had mentioned that you can integrate a number of sensors, but aren't those sensors electrically powered? How do you address that?
Yep. No, I currently working with companies that have certified payloads. Ironically, most of them are coming out of Europe. And so we actually certified our platform as the base model. And then we actually have model versions, A, which has a camera, B has ultrasound and a camera. And then we're actually going to be able to have gas detection or whatever the mission is. And my hope is, given Cooka and some of the expertise, even the previous speakers, is we need articulation. There's a lot that we can do from air sampling, fluid sampling, space sampling, if we had end effectors. So the problem is many of them are not certified. So that if it brought to light, maybe that can be one of the outcomes we drive towards. And pneumatics can be an alternative for all those articulating needs. And
is there a limit to the length you can be deployed in any of these hazardous situations with the pneumatic? Do you have to drag the pneumatic hose behind, I'm assuming? So what's your limits there?
Current condition, we operate at an 80-foot. And the only problem there is just communication lag, right? It's like, can be like driving a boat, but we can actually have a booster pumps in the midway, and then we can extend those. But our current need has not had to extend past 80 feet.
Got it. And is this price competitive to something like an Inucton, or what are the other companies that are doing this kind of work?
You know the space. Ironically, the current market for just a standard crawler is around $100,000, and we are seeking to be at that or lower. Our like I said, I want us to be like the Swiss Army knife. We want it to be affordable for all and bring it to market as a very competitive. I want to be lower even than the non-certified robots.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, it's fantastic to see all of the different use cases that this can be used for, but with such a wide breadth, how are you thinking about prioritizing different industries?
Actually, the first one, we work directly with like oil and gas majors through partnerships through Sprint Robotics, and that gives us vantage to the key pain points. So that one's going as our first go-to-market strategy. And actually, this afternoon I'm going to Randolph Air Force Base, and so you know that those are going to be probably the top two. And that's, if you saw in my ask, for you guys and this opportunity, is what other problems can we solve? The versatility of it, the portability of it, the user-friendly aspects of it. We just focus on saving lives, and we want to be able to have a sustainable future with this to kind of focus. So that would be an engagement with industry leaders like yourself.
We do have a few more minutes for you. If you'd like to add anything to it.
Yeah. As I was mentioning, we're looking at going to Mars. Our, I don't know if you know, but the Martian atmosphere is 94% carbon dioxide, and there's two other known gases, argon and nitrogen, which are both known propellants for robotics, and that's an exciting frontier to investigate. And we don't feel that there are limitations. And being able to work with a company like Cooka that already has done such articulation would really be helpful to us. Also, the fact that the medical industry, you mentioned non-destructive testing in the very beginning, it's an unsung hero that many don't know about, where we do the same as a human body, where you get an X-ray, ultrasound, MRI, CAT scan. We do that for critical assets. We'll do X-ray, ultrasound, and other modalities, to CT scans on various critical components, from knee replacement parts to the airbag deployment capsule in your steering wheel, to anything that will have loss of life and loss of critical assets. So that's our key focus right now, is targeting that space and following what the medical industry is doing from AI and like looking at X-ray, lung, breast, prostate cancer, and all of that has already been formulated. There's a lot we can learn from the medical community and the industrial segment.
I have a question. So when you deploy this to the customer site, right? What kind of training were, tutorials needed for the customers? Is it something that you can just deploy to them and they're good to go, or there are a lot of hand-holding process?
No, this is I use color-coded keyed quick connects, right? That's a lot to say, but there is no way to incorrectly set it up. And it's like a 5-minute quick click. And it's skid steering. So it's intuitive. I actually trained a gentleman who's a 30-year tank inspector who, didn't really get into robotics. And within 5 minutes, he was running it. And then in 15, he was training a welder on how to disassemble and reassemble and run. So, and we can actually run this off of bottles. Like, we even hooked it up to an oxygen bottle, and we can do off the 6-packs to really be able to have a remote inspection. Sorry, go ahead.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What do you think is the biggest market for you? You are addressing, you just said you have a wide area of tanks, of pipes, of cavities, something like that. Do you have a lead market?
I do, because I'm under MSA with a leading owner-operator and a chemical manufacturer. So that's where my initial focus and challenge is. Actually, in the next couple of weeks, we are doing an inspection on top of a floating roof where there's H2S, which is a known asphyxiant, which humans are currently doing under fresh breath air. And so we want to be able to focus on that market first. And I'm 25 years in the non-destructive testing space and in business development, and I've worked at the high levels of the majors. And so once that deployment hits one site, it becomes global instantly, right? Once it's approved in their protocols. So that's the lower hanging fruit market.
Okay. We have robots which are able to run under explosive aerosol atmosphere.
Well, that's where I would love to partner with you guys to try to bring that together to really solve and save lives. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sounds like that's it, Kimberly. Thank you so much. We're grateful for you to be working on this particular solution.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
From here, we are going to take a few minutes. The judges will deliberate, and we will be back shortly with more comments and the winner of today's session. Okay, sounds like everybody is back after much deliberation. Does anyone in particular would like to take the mic to tell everyone what came out of the discussions? Betsy, how about then I'll give it to you.
Sure, I'm happy to. So yeah, apologies for taking a while, but that just means that that all of the companies were very exciting and we had a lot to discuss. So yeah, I'll start off by just thanking all of the presenters. I think you all have really incredible ideas, products, and opportunities ahead of you. So thank you for making our lives very difficult with this choice. But at the end of the day, we are excited to announce that Bionics is the winner of today's session.
Wow.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
And so I think it came down to a couple different things. As I said, everyone is very impactful, and we think that your solution has the opportunity to impact a large number of individuals, a large number of families as well. We think the innovation that you have with the novel kind of scanning and production techniques that you've created are really, really exciting, and some very interesting go-to-market opportunities as well. So I'll pass it off to any of the other judges who want to add anything, but congratulations and really thank you again to all of the presenters today. Really exciting stuff.
Oh, with that, congratulations on us. Congratulations, Bionics. Seems like we are at the end of our session today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in from wherever you are around the world today. Please check out the website for AI for Good, as our flagship event is scheduled for the end of May this year in Geneva. Anyone who wants to partake in the meetings and discussions there, as well as amazing networking, please register and come by. Other than that, Guillem, if you're here, I would like to pass it back to you in closing. Thank you and have a wonderful week, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
you very much. Congratulations and all the best and great success.
Great. Congratulations and thanks all the judges and participants and startups for joining us today. And yes, Matt said, looking forward to meeting you all at the AI for Global Summit 31st May in Geneva. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for participating in today's AI for Good session. We hope you've learned something new, innovative, and engaging in today's event. We now encourage you to continue the conversation on the live video wall in the neural network. Here you can ask questions, like and comment, share links, complete the poll, connect with interesting profiles, or speak one-on-one using the chat and video function. We invite you to explore the lobby, try the smart matching quiz, visit the virtual exhibits, poster boards, the eShop, and build your personalized AI for Good program. Let's shape the future of AI for Good.
The AI for Good Global Summit, convened by ITU, recognizes the joint responsibility of governments, the private sector, United Nations agencies, academia, and others to ensure AI reaches its full potential while preventing and mitigating harms.
And it's a moment that calls for action. And today I'm calling on each of you to use this summit to help the world to better understand what kinds of regulations, what kinds of guardrails we need to put in place right now. So together, let's make it innovative, let's make it safe, and let's make it responsible for all. Thank you very much.